Lesson 75, Factorable Denominators and Sign Changes. In today's problem, we're going to combine two things that we've learned earlier. The one is that we can change any two signs in a fraction, and the fraction remains the same. So we can change this positive to a negative, and we can change the signs of the denominator, and we're not really changing anything. So we change this to a negative, and change this to a negative 5 and a positive x. We get x minus 5. We aren't changing anything. So we've learned that you can change two signs in any fraction, and the fraction actually stays the same. And we've also learned that sometimes whenever we are trying to add or subtract fractions, it's easier if we first factor the trinomial. And here if we factor this x minus 3 and x plus 2, then we come out with a x minus 3, which is close to our 3 minus x. This will be x minus 3 when we change those two signs. So we're putting those two things together, changing two signs and factoring a trinomial. We're putting those two things together to make one problem and a way to solve today's problem. Here's the class practice that we have today. X minus 2 over x squared minus 3x minus 4 plus x plus 5 over 4 minus x. First of all, let's factor this guy right here. X minus 2 over, and two factors of 4 that when you add them together they get negative 3 is going to be x minus 4 and x plus 1. So when we add them we get negative 3, and when we multiply them we get 4. And then plus x plus 5 over 4 minus x. Now notice this x minus 4 and this 4 minus x are the same thing if we can change these signs. So let's change the signs of the denominator. And what that means when we change the sign is we need to change every sign on the denominator. So we change this to a negative 4 and this to a positive x. And then we're also going to change this to a negative. I'm going to copy that down so we can see what we're doing. X minus 2 over x minus 4 times x plus 1 minus x plus 5 over x minus 4. Switch those two guys around so it looks the same. X minus 4 and x minus 4. Now we see that we've got x minus 4 times x plus 1 on the denominator here. Here all we have is x minus 4. So let's take this guy and multiply him by x plus 1 so that our denominators are alike, and we can then subtract the numerators. So let's take x plus 1 times x plus 5. I'm going to work it up here. X plus 5, x plus 1 times, let's go, x times 5 is 5x, x times x is x, and 1 times 5 is 5, and 1 times x is x. Adding it together, we get 5, 6x, and x squared. As this x times x was x squared. So x squared plus 6x plus 5. So now on the bottom we have x minus 2 minus x squared plus 6x plus 5. And our denominators are the same. X minus 4 and x plus 1. X minus 4 and x plus 1. All right. Now, to combine this together, we're subtracting this entire trinomial. What that means is we need to go through and change every single sign in here and then add. So we're going to change this to a negative, we're going to change this to a negative, and change this to a negative, and now we can add. And what we're coming out with is a negative x squared. If we take x and negative 6x, we get negative 5x, and we take negative 5 and negative 2, we get negative 7 over x minus 4 and x plus 1. Okay, that's that. So first of all, we factor the denominator and then change two signs to make this denominator similar to this one. Then we had to multiply this by x plus 1 to make our denominators like, and then we were able to subtract the numerator and come out with our final solution.